Welcome back, guys. So today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new BittBoy PocketGo version 2. I've been very excited to take a look at this. A lot of you guys have been hitting me up, and today we're going to test it out, see how some games play, talk about its features, give you guys my thoughts and opinions. So here it is. Right now they are selling this on the Retro Mimi website. These guys have sent this to me for purpose of review. Surprisingly enough, I've not had the greatest of things to say about a lot of their products, but I do have to give these guys props. They hit me up. They're like, hey, how can we improve? We're looking for any kind of criticisms or thoughts you have. We really do appreciate it, and we want to continue working with you. Mad respect for a company like that. A lot of people, they just want to praise, and get free shit all the time. That's not how I am. I pay for most of the stuff I review on my channel. So when I do have a company like this who, man, they still want to work with you after you've blasted some things, mad respect for real. Now, I did have some issues with this when I first got it, possibly an isolated incident. First up, before we jump into this, let me explain a couple things. So we do have a 3.5-inch IPS tempered glass panel here, 320 by 240 resolution. When I first got this thing working, there was light bleeding out the ass on this thing. Reason is because this glass panel, it wasn't on there perfect. It was shifted over slightly. You almost couldn't notice it. It's kind of beveled in. It's like molded into where this glass panel will sit into the mold of this console, this handheld here. And mine was slightly off center. So I was getting really bad light bleeding. I took it off because I had some dust behind the screen too, probably because it wasn't put on there, perfectly. Cleaned all that up, put it back on, turned it on, no light bleeding. Isolated incident, possibly. QC issue, who knows? Maybe the glue it shifted around. I don't know. The big one for me, though, that was an issue was this power button right here. The system would not power on even after I had charged it for a while. I was like, what's going on? The problem was that the button was stuck. So I had to loosen this back panel. I took the whole thing off to check. I still have to go back in there and kind of inspect it. Maybe there's a little bit of plastic I need to file down. But essentially what I had to do is there's a screw up here. I had to loosen it just a little bit. This side, it's not really visible on camera, but it's not as tight as this side. Not a big deal. It doesn't really bother me too much, but I notice it. So like I said, I'm going to have to go back in there and check. I've talked to a couple other people who have one of these, and they did not have that issue. So just had to point it out. The other thing, these guys are doing a promotion. Pretty cool stuff where if you order this before December 20th, you can get an image printed on the back. It's not a sticker. It's an actual image printed on there. I don't know how they do it, but it is very nice. I dig this quite a bit. But the problem, I've turned this thing on. My bad. This is how you hold the handheld. You turn it around. My logo's upside down. That's kind of crappy. And I've seen other images. This is just the way they're printing them. I don't know why. There's like other consoles or handhelds, from Nintendo and Sony and whatnot that had special editions with a print on the back. The orientation wouldn't be like that. So I don't know why they're doing that. You cannot take this off and flip it around. It can only sit on there this way. So there's nothing you can do about it. Don't know why they did it that way. The other thing is they do have another thing going on their Facebook page where they're going to be giving one of these away for like some kind of design that, people vote on. So I'll put links so you can check all that stuff out. But here's the system. Some stuff that I really like. We have a slider pad, a little analog, very reminiscent of like the 3DS or the PSP. It's a little stiff, but it works. And it works very nice. The D-pad's kind of small, but it feels okay. Not the greatest D-pad, but far from the worst. A, B, X, Y, all the buttons are marked. That is excellent. Menu button, select button, start button. We have a little power indicator light at the bottom. Speaker right there. This speaker, out of every handheld, including like official handhelds from every company in the world, this freaking thing has the loudest damn speaker I've ever experienced. It is nuts. We do have L2, R2, all that good stuff, and it is marked on the back. It's kind of printed on the plastic. It's molded on there, so everything's there, plus and minus for the volume. We do have a headphone jack, USB-C for charging, that kind of stuff. And then on the bottom here, we do have 2 slots for micro SD cards. Really awesome. So with that, they do sell this with a 32 gigabyte card or without, $60 without, 70 with. Mine came with, and it does have games included on it. Don't know if that's the way they're shipping it, but hey, it is what it is. We're gonna have to check out some games here. There's a bunch of applications and stuff. You guys know I don't really mess with this stuff too much, but let's go ahead and zoom up a little bit. Power off through here, because if you like press the power button, it goes in like sleep mode, so you want to power it off through there. You can change the skins, wallpapers, all that good stuff. Has some included games that are just on the firmware. Cave Story, Free Doom, Gianna's Return, like the Gianna sisters or whatever. King of Fighters, Legend of Edgar, Mario Kart Remix. You know, some of these homebrew type things, which are pretty cool. Open Sonic, Open Beats of Rage. Really cool to have all this stuff here. But what I'm concerned with is the emulators. See how these things work. So before we jump into that, well, let's find something. Let's just jump into an NES game, because the previous versions of these devices, man, even NES, whoa. So that actually like threw me off. That speaker is freaking loud, man. It is very loud. Crazy. But NES on their previous handhelds, you know, there'd be like screen tearing and stuff like that. Here, man, NES performs beautifully, as it should. You know, with this processor that this device has, the JZ4770 dual core 64-bit 1 gigahertz processor, this thing is running pretty well. 512 megabytes DDR2 RAM. Very nice stuff. 2000 milliamp hour lithium ion battery. So this thing, it's surprised me. Despite having some of these issues in the beginning, when I first got it, I'm actually really digging this device. So let's go back. I just want to test a handful of games. There's something specific that I don't test in this video. Throw it out there for me in a comment, and I will test things for you guys. So let's take a look at, we also have Neo Geo on here. So let's load a game. Let's get into Metal Slug. Performs beautifully. I've already tested this. Very happy with the performance on Neo Geo. Some of these handhelds struggle with Neo Geo, or just have like that really bad screen tearing. Not the case with this one. Turn the volume up a little bit, but that speaker is freaking intense, my guys. This definitely not a perfect handheld. It's not. I recognize that. One of the big things that they've been touting, and I've been seeing a lot of people talking about, is PlayStation emulation. And this thing does perform very well. A lot of the games run great, but some do not. You may have to tweak some things, but we'll test that out in a second here. See the performance. But there's Neo Geo, really good stuff there. Let's see what else. Let's go into Game Boy Advance. Super Mario 3. So there is that. I haven't had any issues with the games I have tested out here for Game Boy Advance. So that is excellent. Let's check out Super Nintendo. Oh, crap. Getting my ass handed to me here, but D-pad's responding very well, not having any issues with the buttons. The analog's not going to work by default in a lot of these emulators. Like NES, it does, and a few others, but you may have to change settings to get it to work. But there's Super Nintendo. I haven't really had any issues with Super Nintendo with what I've tested. Let's get out of that. Let's check out Sega Genesis, and then we'll check a PlayStation game. so loud, so loud. Always with Sega Genesis, one of the biggest issues is sound. And the sound on this is pretty damn good in my opinion. No screen tearing either, so that is good. A lot of times some of the cheaper handhelds, you'll get screen tearing pretty bad on Sonic games and whatnot. But here, no, it's performing beautifully well. I'm impressed. I mean, it's Sega Genesis, but for whatever reason, Sega Genesis has issues in a lot of these types of devices. So there's that. Let's jump into a PlayStation game real quick. Like I said, PlayStation, not perfect. I have tested some games that just did not work very well. Tekken 3, for example, it struggles a little bit. It's a little slow. As you see, our FPS is okay right now. CPU is all over the place. But actual in-game, the few times I've checked this out, our FPS, our frames per second, dip down a bit, and the CPU gets maxed. So the game's running fairly sluggish. I'm sure there's some things we could probably tweak here, but a lot of people are going to want to know out of the box, how does, these things perform? In PlayStation, it's just hit and miss. Some of the games are not going to run very well. Some will, some won't. So let's jump into like Megaman Legends. Megaman Legends, from when I tested it, man, that is loud. Was pretty much perfect. So you're just gonna have to play with things here. But like I said, if there's something specific I didn't cover in this video that you want me to see do in another like shorter video, like a single topic test on this thing, let me know and get that taken care of. Definitely want to give you guys as much information as possible when it comes to these kind of devices, so you can make an informed decision, not just based off of my opinion, but based it off of what you see and what you like. So there we go. While I check this game out, I'll give you guys my final thoughts here. I really dig the form factor on this thing. It feels very nice. The buttons are fine. The little slider, like I said, some games not going to work. Some you're going to have to set it up. Some it will work just right out the box. This thing is nice, in my opinion. I am really digging it. Despite the few little minor issues that I had when I first received this, this has to be my favorite one so far of these Chinese emulation handhelds. There's tons of options out there. I know, I get it. You could do this stuff on the PSP, on a Vita, a DS, 3DS, that kind of thing. I know, but a lot of people like this new stuff, and that's why I like covering it. I think these devices are really neat. And for me, this one, I just dig it. I like it. I like the way it feels. I like the way it looks. I probably like the way it tastes too if I start chewing on it. I don't know. But definitely digging this one. If you guys are interested, I will have information in the description. But there you go. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. And with that said, I will catch y'all next time. Peace out. Thumb butt, focus, and boom. Bye.